Hello everybody, welcome to the another part of our HTML series. Today we will talk about forms and user input. Forms are the gateway to the user interaction on the web. They allow visitors to submit information and make purchases and sign up for newsletters and engage with their content in meaningful ways. Form structure of HTML form starts with the form tag, and there are various input types like password, number, date, file, range and more for the specific data collection needs. And we can also have drop down menus using the select tag, and the label tag is used to describe which input is for which element, and it allows users to use our forms very nicely. And the form validation are called as required, pattern and max length. Required, whenever there is a required in any input tag, it is required for the user to fill it. And we can also have regex patterns, like we have patterns in usernames. And there are various common input types, so let's use them one by one, and let's start with the basic practicals. So now I will start it by form tag, and in form tag there is action. So in action there is majorly a backend link or an API where the data of the form will be submitted, and there is another tag as attribute as method, and there are two types, get and post. Whenever we do a Google search or any basic stuff on the internet, we request a get request, and whenever we transfer huge amounts of data or any complex task, it is done through post request. So after making the HTML form, we will start with a basic label, and let me tell you what is the use of for. In for should be equal to the ID of input. So here we will have another ID attribute in input tag, and the ID attribute of the input tag and for attribute of the label tag should be equal. Let's make it name, and this ID should be equal to the for tag of the label, and this is where these two label and input are linked, and whatever the text which will be inputted in this input tag will be directly linked for this label. So for an ID should be directly. Let me add full name to the label, and you can see this is a basic form which has started. Now I will code more. I will add br tag here, so it makes our form neat and tidy. Now I will talk about another label which is password and another input tag which is password. So let me add this pass and password, and now we will go for an input tag. The text will not be text, it will be password. So input type should be password here, and there are various input types, and we will cover majority of the common here. And ID should be pass, and now you see here password has been there. Now I will tell you about another attribute which is called as placeholder. So in this input tags we have placeholder, and placeholder is, let me show you what. So I typed placeholder password here, and now you can see password is written here. So this is the use of placeholder. Other input will be email. So we should just go here and first add the label to be email. Input should be email, and ID should be equal to the for element of the label, and let's add br tag here. Let me just show you. So now I didn't added br after the password, so it just concatenated or got in the same line. So I will add br here and br here for the next. So you can see here now our forms currently look like this. So now we will tell you about submit button. So we will just have an input tag and we will turn the type to submit, and now you can see there is a button here which will submit the information, and currently we don't have any backend linked here, so you can see the page isn't working, but I will just open it again with the live server. You can see it is here. So now I will also have another input type which is reset, and reset is nothing but whenever we click on this button, every information that we have filled here gets resetted. Email, and instead of I just click on reset, everything vanished. So this is the use of reset button. So now we will talk about another input types: number, numeric values like age, quantity, and date. Just talk about these two for now: number and date. So label for num here, and we will add age here. We should also have age here. Input number, and here I can have only numbers, and there is a small drop down here available. So drop, not drop down, up and down. So you can see here. Now we will talk about date. Label DOB. And if you noticed, I didn't added ID in the input tag, which was my mistake, and I forgot to add. So we should never forget these basic things whenever creating HTML forms. And we will have DOB here. And let's see here. You can see I can select my date of birth through this calendar. Okay. Now we will talk about another input types like radio boxes, check boxes. So now we will learn about radio boxes. So let's start with radio boxes, and let me tell you why we use radio boxes. Whenever we have to get a particular option or any particular selection from the user, we use radio boxes. So you can see I just wrote gender here. Now I will have an input tag here directly, input tag, and it will be radio of type, and with radio tag input, the only main thing we have is two new attributes, value, and with value we tell and specify what is the value will be given and addressed and given to the server when this button is clicked. So input type radio, value female, and just female. And just let us see, there has been some error by in the VS Code, but ignore that and open with live server. You can see a new button popping up, and I can select it. But let me tell you one more thing. Let us create another input tag which is input radio. You can also have input radio by just clicking, writing input colon radio, and VS Code will write everything. Now VS Code wrote something else which I have to tell you. Now you can see VS Code written something more which I haven't written in another input tag, female. So name attribute, and I will show the importance of name attribute just by showing you the practical. Now I added male here. So with this I can click male also, I can select female also, but this just destroys the main objective of radio buttons. So for that we need a name attribute which should be directly equal to the name attribute of other input tag which belong to the same category. So let me just name it gender, and I will also have the same name attribute gender in the female input. And now you can see something will happen, and I can only select one out of male or female. And now you saw that. So let's go to another input type which is called as checkboxes. So checkboxes are like, let us create a label and let us give it ID vehicles, and now vehicles you own, and I will directly add an input tag of checkbox. You can input colon checkbox and you will see this. Now the same use of name tag in input just as it was in radio button, but there is a major difference between checkboxes and radio buttons which I will show you. And let us vehicles to the name, and ID should be also same vehicles. And now let's go. Vehicles, I can say cars. I own a car, and I will just copy paste this, and I will shift alt down is the key I used just now in front of you, and bike, and let's say plane. So now let's just go. Let us add a BR tag after mail, and you can see here vehicles use. I can select car if I have car, I can select bike if I have both car and bike, and I can select both plane. So this is the major difference between radio buttons and checkboxes, that in checkboxes you have to give a variety of choices you want, and in radio buttons you have to only give one option. So let's talk about another input type which is file and range. So let's talk about now files and ranges. Label photo, give me your photo. I'll have the input colon what I have told you, file. So now I will add ID to photo, and that's it. Now we will go and see. You can see, give me your photo, choose file, and I can choose from the files here, and I just selected a photo, and you can see here is the photo. So this was the photo input photo. Now we will talk about range. So range is used for adjusting volumes and various other things. But now let me tell you volume of music, input, input range. Now just go and see. You can see volume of music, and we can do just like that. So now I have to just show you one more drop down menu which will be select your favorite car, favorite car, and we will use just one tag which will be select, and these select tag we will add options. Add the value of option will be, I will just show you, and I have told you what is the role of value tag and every other tag. So I will just tell you the direct options and up this video and shift alt down. That's the, and Ferrari, Lamborghini, Ghini. And now you can see here we have a drop down menu. You can select your favorite thing out of which is your favorite, and now you can directly submit or reset forms. I think you would have liked it, and for last I will tell you, you can add anything you want in the submit buttons. Just change value tag to welcome. I'm using welcome here, and now you will say instead of submit I saw welcome here. So this is the main thing I've had to tell you. So let me sign off.